I'm Marcy, Rising Sun Yoga and Wellness. I wanted to explain a little bit about the principles of SomaYoga. SomaYoga is based in part on classical yoga, therapeutic yoga, and then Thomas Hanna's somatics. Somatics works with retraining the muscles how to release so that we have these chronic habits in our body, postures that we have adapted to protect ourselves when we've had an injury or from working long hours over a computer, developing a hunched forward posture. Our muscles start slowly staying in positions that aren't beneficial to our lives. So somatics tries to teach the muscles how to learn to release and let go. With this practice, we sometimes have a thing called sensory motor amnesia. And it can take the form of little hiccups like that in your body where you'll feel it kind of twitch and move as you're trying to do a practice. That's fine. That's just how your body is reacting, trying to learn how to control the muscle in a way that it hasn't done it for a long time. If you feel a lot of that in one spot as you're going through, and you feel little ones, but sometimes you'll feel bigger ones in an area, you can actually pause there and try to go in and out of that spot and see if you can make it move more effectively in your body. Sensory motor amnesia can also take on the form of making you giggle or laugh, or suddenly you may feel sad or angry. One time I just started crying with one particular movement and did it again a month later, and I didn't even feel sad. My body just had something doing that movement that was being triggered, and I just needed to let it go. If you feel sad, if you start giggling, let yourself giggle. If you start crying, let yourself cry. The body's releasing what it needs to release. Once in a great while, somebody might get nauseous or get a headache. If that happens, if you're in the middle of doing it and you get nauseous or a headache, go ahead and stop. If it's very slight, that could be your choice, whether or not to continue. But truly, your body is letting go. If you are working with a doctor, please always follow your doctor's recommendations and not my recommendations for what you're doing, because I don't know what's going on in your body like you do. So that being said, never, ever, ever do anything that is hurting your body. Do not work into pain. That whole no pain, no gain thing, that's not true. And in almost every case, you can come right up to the edge of that pain. So instead of doing a movement this big, you might do a movement that big. That's fine, so long as you don't go into pain. If you work through pain, you're going to actually hurt yourself more and you won't make the progress that you're wanting to make. You'll often hear cues in this class of going smaller, going slower. We spend so much of our life just moving through, just propelling our body, getting on to the next thing, that we're not noticing all the movements that we're missing in life. So if you try this and punch out, and then you bring the arm back, and you try to move it the same way, very, very slowly, it's actually going to be significantly more challenging to do for you. And so that's what we're working with in the body. So I'm going to always be encouraging you to go slower, to go smaller, tell you that less is more. I'll talk about working with your edge. I want you to use this as an opportunity to let your body be in charge and not let your mind be in charge. When your body is in charge, your body will let you know that you're going to hurt yourself, that you're going too far, and it doesn't feel good. And it'll help you stop and take care of yourself. So in this practice, while you most definitely could probably make your leg come close to the floor, if instead you ask where the body wants to be and you get quiet and really listen, you may find that the body only wants to go that far. And by honoring your body and working with your body, you'll quite quickly probably gain much more range of motion. Also, too, though, you'll start being able to listen to your body more throughout your day, so that you will be in less pain, because you'll start noticing more when your body's starting to talk, saying, hey, that hurts. You'll start paying attention to it and start being more gentle with yourself. In this practice, there's also a thing called delayed onset muscle soreness. I'm sure you're all familiar with it. It's that pain that we feel, for example, if we haven't worked in the garden all summer or all spring, and then we suddenly go out and we start digging. And so when we go out and we start doing that the first time and we're working really hard and we come back in, our bodies will ache in brand new, unique ways. That's because you've been using muscles you haven't used for a very long time. That happens in this practice too. We don't want to do it so hard and so long that we really hurt ourselves, but it's really surprising how you might be doing this thinking, oh, this isn't doing anything in my body. I can't believe she's crazy. This isn't going to hurt. And the next day, you'll be achy from it. Just go with it. Eventually, you won't feel that ache anymore. At the same time, I can promise you that you'll start feeling so much more release in your body and in your muscles. It's truly transformative, this whole practice. I know it's changed my life. I have students who told me it has completely changed their lives. It's amazing. It's kind of a miracle. It is a miracle. Now, that being said, so often, carpenters, for example, they're constantly doing traumatic things in their body on a regular basis. Slamming things with hammers, lifting things that are too heavy. And if they paid attention to the amount of pain in their body all the time, they probably wouldn't even be able to do their job. Because of that, some of us have learned to ignore the body for so long that you may not be able to sense the subtleties that I'm mentioning in the class. So I may ask you to try to notice the difference between the left and the right side of the body. You may not feel a difference. It might be there. It might be that your right side is sitting deeply and heavily on the body and the left side is barely making contact. But you may have lost your ability to notice those subtleties only because you have ignored your body for so long. If you stick with this practice and keep doing it, it will come back. Your interoception will grow again, and you will become aware of those things. It may not always be perfectly pleasant to become aware of those things, in the sense that you may find that you've had chronic pain in a certain area in your body that you've ignored for years. You were subtly aware about it on some level, but you were really not paying attention to it, and it may come up. I consider that a blessing, because you do need to be aware of it so that you can find ways of getting your body out of the pain without ignoring what it needs. Our bodies are our friends, and they really want us to listen to them. With the body being our friend, I think that our body has protected us for many years from our stresses and traumas of our daily lives. If we're angry, our bodies are supposed to shake it off. If we've hurt ourselves very badly, falling down, for example, or through a surgery, our body compensates for that injury, and it takes on more of a burden so that we have the opportunity to heal, or so that we're able to walk still in spite of the injury. And so that can all be a good thing. But then we keep it in our body. We don't let it go. We don't shake it off like we're supposed to. We develop a habit of ignoring these things when they occur in the body. But likewise, if we have been in an emotionally abusive relationship, if we have had other types of emotional, mental, spiritual traumas in our lives, our body remembers them. We hold and store them. Remember when I talked about the sensory motor amnesia, and sometimes you'll do something in your body that might make you suddenly feel angry in the class, or how I've cried and not known why. This is part of my body and what it's been holding on to. With traditional talk therapy, it's a really great way of having somebody witness your story and of getting your story out and of being heard. But if we stay in that realm of talking about it constantly, that story then starts to gain more and more power. We don't let it go, we're actually feeding it. So if you think of a needle in a groove of a record going around, when that record gets stuck, if you leave it stuck, it just makes that groove deeper. We want to get unstuck from these samskaras, these stories and old habits that we're stuck in. So this practice will do that by working in your body and releasing these little pains in these places that have been holding on to our stories. I personally believe it can be liberating far beyond traditional talk therapy. It is a way of actively getting it out of our body. So we can tell the story, but we need to stop talking about the story and focusing on it, and at some point we need to let it go and be done. This practice is a practice of doing that. And when we let this practice release ourselves from our past, release ourselves from our habits and our chronically controlled muscles, we can find true freedom of movement in our body. We can liberate our bodies from the way they've been carrying ourselves and find freedom in movement for the first time. It doesn't matter how old you are, you can always use this. I've seen children who can't move their bodies anymore. It makes me so sad. When we release our bodies, we can own our bodies for the first time. It's practice of true embodiment. For people who find it challenging to meditate, they love this practice because it can go so deeply in your body that your brain shuts off, because all you're doing is paying attention to the movement of the body and nothing else. Everything else grows quiet, so you begin to have that one-pointed focus. I love this practice, and I love this work. I hope you love it as much as I do.